Hello, it was a quiet autumn evening in the heart of London, and the city was alive with its usual hum of activity. The leaves swirled in golden hues, painting the streets with a touch of magic. Emma, a 28-year-old aspiring novelist, sat in her favorite corner of the old bookstore she frequented. Her curly auburn hair fell in soft waves around her face as she scribbled furiously in her leather-bound notebook. She was chasing the perfect ending for her latest story, but found herself hopelessly stuck. The bell above the door jingled, snapping Emma out of her thoughts. She glanced up to see a tall, well-dressed man entering the shop, his navy coat dusted with the first drops of rain. His striking blue eyes scanned the shelves with purpose, but there was an air of hesitation about him, as though he didn't quite belong there. "Looking for something specific?" Emma blurted before she could stop herself. The man looked up, startled, then smiled, a soft, disarming smile that seemed to light up the dimly lit shop. "I'm not sure," he admitted. "Maybe something that can distract me from the chaos of my life." Emma chuckled. "You've come to the right place. Books solve everything." And just like that, their conversation began. His name was Lucas, a 32-year-old architect who had recently moved back to London after years of traveling. He was charming yet reserved, and Emma found herself drawn to his quiet confidence. The meeting sparks. Over the next few weeks, Lucas began visiting the bookstore almost every evening, and each time he sought Emma out. They'd sit in the corner surrounded by stacks of books, talking about everything from literature to life's uncertainties. Emma found herself opening up to him in ways she hadn't with anyone before, sharing her dreams of becoming a published author and her struggles with self-doubt. Lucas, in turn, revealed that he had recently ended a long-term relationship and was trying to rebuild his life. He confessed that he often felt lost despite his outward success. One rainy evening, as they sat by the window, watching the city lights reflect on the wet streets, Lucas turned to Emma. "Do you believe in fate?" he asked. Emma hesitated, then smiled. "I think the universe has a funny way of bringing people together when they need each other the most." Lucas nodded, his gaze lingering on her longer than usual. "I think you might be right." The rising conflict. Just as their bond deepened, life threw a wrench into their budding romance. Emma received an email from a prestigious publishing house in New York, offering her a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to attend a 6-month writer's residency. It was the break she had been waiting for, but the timing couldn't have been worse. When she told Lucas, his face betrayed a flicker of disappointment before he masked it with a supportive smile. "That's incredible, Emma. You should absolutely go." But as the days passed, Emma noticed a growing distance between them. Lucas stopped visiting the bookstore as frequently, and when he did, their conversations felt strained. One evening, unable to bear the tension any longer, Emma confronted him. "Why are you pulling away?" she demanded. Lucas sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Because I know how this ends, Emma. You'll leave, and I'll stay here, and we'll both pretend it doesn't matter. But it does, at least to me." Emma's heart ached at his words. "Lucas, I don't want to lose you, but this is my dream. I've been waiting for this chance my entire life." "And you should take it," he said quietly. "I just don't know if I'm strong enough to watch you walk away." The turning point. Emma left for New York a week later. Their goodbye was bittersweet, filled with promises to stay in touch. But deep down, both feared what the distance would do to their fragile connection. For the first few weeks, they kept their word, texting and video calling whenever they could. But as Emma became more immersed in her residency, their conversations grew less frequent. Lucas, back in London, threw himself into his work, trying to distract himself from the void Emma had left behind. One night, while staring out at the city skyline from her tiny New York apartment, Emma realized something profound. She had been writing a love story all along, not in her notebook, but in her own life. And for the first time, she understood what Lucas had meant when he said he wasn't strong enough to watch her leave. She missed him, not just as a companion, but as the person who made her feel whole. The climactic resolution. Emma decided to do something bold. She finished her manuscript, pouring every ounce of her heart into the final pages, then booked a flight back to London without telling Lucas. On a crisp winter evening, Lucas returned to the bookstore after a long day at work. To his astonishment, he found Emma sitting in their usual corner, a copy of her freshly printed manuscript on the table in front of her. "I thought you were in New York," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I was," she replied, standing to face him. "But I realized that every story needs a good ending, and mine wasn't in New York. It's here with you." Lucas stared at her, disbelief and joy warring on his face. "Emma, are you saying—" "I'm saying I love you, Lucas," she interrupted, "and I don't want to spend another day pretending that you're not the most important part of my life." Conclusion. Lucas closed the distance between them, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I love you too," he whispered. Their love story wasn't perfect, and it wasn't without its challenges. But as they stood in the warmth of the bookstore, surrounded by the words that had brought them together, they both knew one thing for certain. Some loves aren't just written in the stars, they're written in the pages of life itself.